This is the Tim Power Show on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
Kevin, great to have you with us. TikTok back in the news again because the Americans now seemingly are going to strike a deal with TikTok and then turn the Chinese over this. So what is the latest with TikTok in the U.S.?
It looks like the latest twist again is that Trump is saying that he's reached a deal with China to keep TikTok running in the U.S. And the plan is to set up a new American-controlled company with U.S. investors like Oracle and Silver Lake, and they'll hold about 80% of that company. And I think they're also having an American-led board that will even include a government-appointed director on that board as well. As we all know, what makes TikTok so powerful is its algorithm, the secret sauce that keeps people hooked and has made it such a success. And under this deal, this algorithm will still be licensed from ByteDance, but used under U.S. oversight. So TikTok isn't disappearing, but it's really being reshaped into a version I think Washington feels is more secure.
But can you really separate it? I mean, if the AI or the actual intelligence in all of this is Chinese, humans can oversee it, but the power is still with the Chinese, is it not?
I think at the heart of this fight is national security and data control.
Okay.
And you know, TikTok gathers huge amounts of personal data. I think the U.S. officials fear that because ByteDance is really based in China. And like you mentioned, that data can end up in the hands of Beijing. So there's concerns about influence. I think there's concerns about how that algorithm could be pushed certain narratives to millions of Americans. So this isn't just about an app. I think it's about protecting sensitive data information and really making sure foreign governments don't control what Americans see and hear online.
Look, we've banned TikTok in Canada. How's this going to affect us and what the Canadian government might do?
Good question, because Canada is watching this very closely like they do with all of these types of decisions. And I think Ottawa has already banned TikTok on government devices over similar concerns. But I think if the U.S. finalizes a model where American investors take control, it could sort of be a template for Canada, too. There's really a diplomatic dimension here. I mean, Canada has to balance close ties with the U.S. with an increasingly complicated relationship with China. So for everyday Canadians, I think the big question is whether changes in the U.S. could spill over to here, since our tech and our media ecosystems are tightly linked. And really, what happens in Washington often ends up shaping some decisions here in Ottawa as well.
Yeah, I've also heard it that both the American rationale is about making sure they still have the ability to do other types of trade with the Chinese. And we've seen in Canada recently that the Prime Minister is talking about lessening tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles. What do we need to worry about going forward with all of this?
There are a few sticking points here, no question. Even with a deal on the table, there are some major hurdles. I mean, China has to approve the licensing of this TikTok algorithm and said it won't agree to anything that harms its firms. So ByteDance has resisted selling in the past, and they've insisted that its U.S. operations are already separate and secure. And so deadlines have been pushed back several times now until, I think, mid-December. So nothing is final yet, but really the risk is twofold. If the deal collapses, the U.S. could still move to ban TikTok. And if that happens, creators and small businesses who rely on this app could see their livelihoods disrupted most overnight. So I think time will tell there.
All right. We'll move off of TikTok, which has been a powerful election tool in past elections, and talk about the Newfoundland election and social media. I have to say it's the place, and I probably have 3 different platforms I go to where I'm seeing the most about the Newfoundland and Labrador election. How's it shaping up in terms of information that's sharing and debates that are playing themselves out there, Kevin?
Based on what I've seen, too, as well, it's been fast, it's been noisy, and it's been nonstop. Candidates are treating Facebook, TikTok, Instagram like a 24/7 campaign machine, posting videos, I think memes, and live streams at a pace that voters can barely keep up with. On the upside, this gives them direct access to people across the province, including younger voters who spend more time on their phones than at campaign rallies. And again, if you flip it, though, the sheer volume of content makes it harder to really separate real policy from spin. And sometimes it feels like a traditional campaign and more like a constant stream of headlines competing for attention. So some people are saying that this election isn't just happening at the rallies or the debates. They're saying it's being fought on your phone screens as well. Kind of agree with that.
Yeah, and certainly you rightly point out there's a whole cohort of voters, part of the millennial cohort, part of Gen Z, even old guys like me, Gen X, that are looking on. Do we have a sense in Newfoundland and Labrador what social media use is like? Is it 50% of the population, 60%? Are you able to pin that down, Kevin, at all, or speak about it generally? Who's using social media and to what degree? Do we know?
I think a lot of people are. I'd say social media is a tool that a lot of people use in the toolbox. It's not the whole story. It's a great way to get quick updates and to see how candidates are really carrying themselves. And I think a lot of people are doing that and looking at it, watching it. But most of the viral clips or emotional posts aren't always most accurate. I think that's what I tell people. You should take a second look and go to the source as well. Voters should check the party platforms and rely on credible local media and look beyond those catchy sound bites. Really, at the end of the day, elections aren't about who has the flashiest video. They're about leadership, they're about policy, and the ability to deliver on promises. So I think people should keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's great advice. I mean, I have to admit, I was suckered into something last week when Charlie Kirk was killed. There was a bunch of social media pieces out there. I'll call them pieces, and you can figure out what kind of pieces they were afterward, that said Sidney Crosby, the Penguin star, was going to pay for the kids' education, and that Sidney Crosby was calling on the National Hockey League to have a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk. None of that was true, but it was done in such a way that it looked believable. And maybe I'll get you 30 seconds. So, I mean, how do you second source? What is your best advice? You said go to the platforms, but is there anything else you'd suggest to people when they see something and it maybe does look too good to be true? What would you advise?
The one thing that I would tell a lot of people is we should keep in mind that people shouldn't confuse the loudest TikTok with the best candidate.
Good point. All right. Remember that, everybody. And you got us here at VOCM to help you out. Kevin, great as always. Thanks very much for making the time.
No worries. Thanks, Tim.